Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
Good morning everybody.
Wabarakatuh.
Morning.
Okay. Good morning everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
I would like to say thank you for coming in our presentation. It's great to see you all. Let me introduce myself and my member. I am Putri Aulia and my member is Farihatu Sa'diah, Rivaldo Husni, and Tasim Asrori. Okay, we are from the second group. Okay, in this presentation, we will discuss about the concept of Dar al-Islam in Islamic history and today. Okay, the next is the presentation of the material that will be presented by Rivaldo. Okay, please.
Before the advent of modern nation states, religion was the key organizing principle for Muslim jurisdiction international law. Muslim perceived the land rule by Muslim to be safe, meaning that Muslim could freely practice their religion there. They called this land Dar al-Islam, the land of Islam, or Dar al-Salam, the land of peace. Next. This land Dar al-Islam, the land of Islam, or Dar al-Salam, the land of peace, is not used in the Quran or the Hadith of the Prophet. They are the convenient names that jurists use to describe them the realities of medieval international relation. On the contrary, they took that the land was under control non-Muslim are not safe, because Muslim can don't always practice their religion there. Thank you.
Next, they called this land Dar al-Harb, land of war, since most of the states are technically at war Muslim today, or Dar al-Kufr, country do not believe. Since 13th century, moment as the Mongol took Baghdad, more and more Muslims live in non-Muslim areas will continuing to practice their religion. To solve this problem, Muslim jurists decided to call and land where Muslims can practice their religion freely for al-Islam. Next, the Islamic jurists divide the war into two parts, namely Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb. The translation Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb into Indonesian is land of peace and land of war.
First, Dar al-Islam covers all countries where Islamic laws are feasible or where Muslim population can give birth to Islamic laws. So it is included in the category of Dar al-Islam, a country where all or most of the population consists of Muslims. All countries which are controlled and governed by Muslims, even though some of the population does not consist of these people. This also includes the number that al-Islam, a country ruled and controlled by non-Muslims, as long as the Muslims who are in it can give birth to Islamic laws. Next. Second, Dar al-Harb includes all non-Islamic countries that are not under the control of the Muslim or where Islamic laws are not feasible. Whether this country is ruled by a state of several countries, whether they are Muslim or not, as long as the Muslim population cannot give birth to Islamic laws. Dar al-Harbini consists of countries and communities outside the Islamic world. The inhabitants of the country named those who did not believe or did not believe.
Okay, summary. So, according to the theory of Islamic law, if Islamic law applies in an area, then that area is Dar al-Islam. But if Islamic law does not apply in an area, then that area is Dar al-Harb. This provision was confirmed by the leading Muslim scholars of the 19th century. They give legal decision on Indian territory. Although India was controlled by the British, the jurists argued that the country was considered the Dar al-Islam because Muslims in it can carry out Islamic law freely. Okay, now the question and answer session. Anybody would like to ask? Apakah ada yang ingin bertanya?